What's up guys, my name's Dante and thank you very much for watching another video. Today I had a completely different topic planned than the one I'm going to speak on, but I was at the gym this morning and one of my friends sent me just a little passage of a book that he reads regularly, and the passage impacted me so much and it made me think so much about the actual topic that I thought, I've got to share on this. The topic was the lessons of life. And let me first start off by saying I think the mistake that we make so often is to call the lessons of life the problems of life. And when people ask us what's going on or what's wrong, we often talk about our life as though it's full of problems. And problems, I'm sure most of you can agree, it would be a negative thing. If I'm labeling something as a problem, it's already got negativity attached to it. If I label something, and this is what's so amazing, that every problem we have in our life, we could call it a lesson. And lessons, I think most people would agree, are generally positive things. And so already our language, instead of talking about problems, we talk about lessons. Already our language is changing to increase positivity in our lives. And that's kind of one of the goals. That's one of actually the main goals if we're trying to have more happiness in our life, to try to maximize positivity. And so right there is our first tip of the day, is to not talk about life as though it's full of problems, but to talk about life as though it's full of lessons. Language is one of those things that it can really put us in a hole. The way we talk about people and situations and places really puts us in a hole if it's filled with negativity. I don't encourage my friends to talk about their life as though it's full of problems. I encourage my friends who I want to see maximize happiness in their lives, I encourage them to talk about life as though it's full of lessons. And so there's the topic for today, lessons. I mean, what is it about life's lessons? I talk a lot on this channel about growth. And without lessons, our growth is limited. Limited to luck or happenstance. It's limited to, who knows what. It's limited though. But if our life is full of lessons, and your experience may be different, but it's day to day for me, more and more lessons that I choose not to call problems, because the person whose life is full of problems is also full of stress. The person whose life is full of lessons is full of growth. And so right then and there, it seems like when we talk about lessons in those terms, we can fill ourselves with gratitude. Because we ask the world, or we ask ourselves, we hope for ourselves, we say, I want to grow, I want to be a better person, and then lessons come into our lives, and we say, why does this happen to me? Why do I deserve all of these problems? Instead of expressing gratitude and saying to ourselves, I asked to grow, I asked to become a better person, to be more successful, and the lessons came. And they're here now, and I'm so grateful for them, because I know after I get over these, after I learn how to deal with these, I'll be a better person. And you start to see when we talk like this, ask yourself, how many friends do you have where you go around them and they talk like this, they use this language? I look back to years ago when I was around people who didn't talk like this, and I noticed that I thought in the same way that they did. Anything that made life hard was bad, and anything that made life easy was good. I said that at the same time as saying I wanted to be a better person and I wanted to grow. I wanted to be successful and happiness in my career. I don't want to say it's not the right way of thinking, but it's a way of thinking that gets us into a lot of trouble easily. Now fast forward a few years and I find a group of friends who don't offer me sympathy when I come to them with a problem or a lesson. They don't tell me everything's going to be okay. They don't say it's not my fault. They tell me exactly what I need to hear, and that is that every problem in my life is due to my actions and my attitudes. And in fact, calling it a problem in the first place is contributing to the negativity or the sadness in my life. I need to immediately start to call it a lesson and see how I can grow from it. They make it a point to tell me that your life will not get any better until you recognize the lesson and learn from it. And that is so crucial to living a life full of growth, is surrounding yourself with people who are not there to just make you feel better. It is detrimental to a life that wants growth in it. Because we need to be very clear that our lives they're going to continue to be bad, or they're going to continue to be the same, which, if you want growth, having the life that's the same is not really the goal. We're going to continue to have a life that's the same until we learn our lesson. And the most amazing thing about life is that if we neglect to learn our lessons, they will always reappear. And we can run for a little while and go back into your own life experience and ask yourself if you've experienced the same thing. We can run from our problems and we can neglect to learn from them and blame them on other people and not take responsibility. But if we do, whether it's tomorrow or next week or next month, they will always reappear. And usually be harder to deal with than they were in the first place. So instead, as people who recognize they want to have more happiness in their lives, instead what we do is recognize all these things as lessons and immediately try to learn from them and to grow from them and embrace them, because we're grateful that the world is giving us an opportunity to grow. It's so confusing to me how on one hand, I'll talk with someone who says they want happiness in their life, who says they want growth, and on the other hand, complains why their life is hard. I guess I shouldn't say that it confuses me, because it really doesn't. The way we talk about these things in our life and society makes us believe that lessons are bad or problems are bad, when in fact, they're the only passageway to growth. It's the only path. We've talked about this before when I talk about the law of uncomfortability. You see, we cannot grow unless we're uncomfortable. And it's totally okay to admit to yourself that you don't want to grow. All you want is to not be uncomfortable. That's totally fine. I'm not saying there's a right and a wrong. Remember, these videos are meant for people who want more happiness in their life, and I'm here to tell you that happiness does come through uncomfortability, and the reason for that is every time we're uncomfortable, we grow. Every time we grow, we go to bed that night knowing we're better people. What more could we want out of life? What more is there to life than growth? A lot of people believe nature is like the most beautiful thing, untouched nature. And what is nature about? It's all about growth. And and death, and then regrowth. But there's always growth. Some of the most beautiful things in this world are only growth. And so why, if we want to have a beautiful life, would we not choose to live in that same way? I've got people in my family, acquaintances, friends that I do know, who struggle with the same issues from last year, from 2 years ago, from 5 years ago. Because in a lot of cases, people refuse to accept responsibility. People want to believe that any problem they have in their life is not because of them. I try to make it a habit in my life to quickly recognize that all of my problems are because of me. I try to keep people in my life who notice when I try to point the finger and say, that is why I'm upset. I try to keep people in my life who hear me say that and tell me to stop, and tell me that I'm only hurting myself, and that my life's going to continue to be bad until I stop saying that. I wish I could meet more people who would do that for me. It's the best thing a friend could do. Just like the worst thing a friend could do is to tell us that everything's going to be okay, that it's not our fault. It's tough because we want to comfort. But if somebody tells you that they want to grow and be a better person, we have to understand that comforting them and telling them that everything's going to be okay is only damaging them. We want to try to lead people to the answer, to the opportunity to whatever is going to help them become what they want to become. So for today or for this week, notice the problems in our life as being lessons and try to become more grateful for them. If we do that, I promise we will be more happy. Thank you very much for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.